Ladies and gentlemen, you'll be hearing in the background a change of the music from that which you're hearing right now to the new rhythm, the new vibrations. Because today, we start the program in a way that should inspire you, should motivate you, and should enlighten you. Welcome, Trinidad and Tobago, and those of you watching throughout the world, welcome to Synergy TV and the program, The Hot Seat. Today, we look at emancipation. What does it mean to you? How have we fared since the proclamation of emancipation? How have you succeeded? But it's not every good thing. Let's start with a word of prayer. Please join me. O heavenly, loving Father, dear God and my Creator, as I come to you, dear God, I thank you for every single blessing. I thank you, God, for the food I eat, the air I breathe, the water I drink. Bless us this day, I pray. I ask you, God, to bless every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. Bless everyone, be them black or white, African or Indian. Bless every citizen, thou God. Bless the people of the world. And Father God, in a special way, I ask you to please guide the leader of the opposition and the opposition. I ask you, thou God, to please guide the Prime Minister and the government, and that they may understand that always they must put country over party. Bless us this day, I pray. And Father God, if any among us are sick, Father God, I ask you, through your power, to touch them, to heal them, to guide them, to give them divine intervention, to give them inspiration. Bless us this day, I pray. And I pray in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen. Wow. I'm ready for them today. Emancipation Day. Happy emancipation to one and all. This is your day. This is a day when we can come together and truly celebrate that victory or that coming out of slavery, the Atlantic Passage. But ladies and gentlemen, right now, you know how I start all the time. I start one way. I start the only way. And that way is, of course, I start with the great words. The great words. You know the words. Are you aware? Bring up the vibrations of the music. Bring up the songs of the drum. Bring it up. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start with the great words. And those words are, say it with me on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. I love my country. I can feel the love. I can feel the love. I can feel the love. Yes, I can feel the love. How are you today? Are you all right? Are you celebrating this day? Are you happy with this day? This day called Emancipation Day? What is it to be emancipated? I look in the dictionary, first of all, for the word emancipation. Latin origin. To give independence to. Simple. Related to deprive of power or strength. It is retaining and stopping a level of emasculation. To emancipate, to free from social, political, and legal restrictions. You hear these simple terms? Let us now look at emancipation as Trinidad and Tobago. Let's look at it at this point in time and see what we come up with. What is Emancipation Day? Now, Emancipation Day is celebrated and observed in many former European colonies in the Caribbean and areas of the Americas in various dates to commemorate the emancipation of enslaved people of African descent. Emancipation Trinidad and Tobago. The Emancipation Bill was presented in Parliament by Thomas Buxton in 1833. The Act came into effect on the 1st of August, 1834. On that day, it seemed as if the history had been created for slaves throughout the West Indies. They would no longer be slaves, but emancipated, free to do as they please. However, that was not to be. For in the midst of the joy and celebration came the news that the full freedom would not be granted immediately, but the ex-slaves would be apprenticed to their former slave masters for a minimum of 4 years. Are you hearing me? Thus, a period of apprenticeship was cut in place to bridge the gap between slavery and complete freedom. Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me, Trinidad and Tobago? In 1985, Trinidad and Tobago became the first country in the world to declare a national holiday to commemorate the abolition of slavery. So after 180 years of emancipation, we now have 33 years where Trinidad becoming the first country to have a day for this thing called emancipation. Today, we look at it very seriously. And joining us on the hot seat at 4:30 will be the ambassador or the high commissioner for South Africa. Today, I tell you, it is a signal honor to be in your home and into your hearts. Hopefully, you will look at this program today. You will allow your conscience to guide you. You will see to yourself, am I still in bondage or am I free? Am I truly emancipated? What is emancipation? Let me look at my own life. Let me look at my own life. And let me say hello to my brothers and sister, Lily, my sister, Heather. Let me look at my brother Ivan, Joseph, David, John, all my family, my nieces and nephews, children, everybody. Janice, everyone, all of you. Let me say hello to all of you today. What is emancipation? Look at my life. I grew up in poverty. Well, I shouldn't say poverty. Those days we were rich, I suppose, because we didn't have much, we didn't have money. We grew up in one tapia room. That was our home, and we slept on the ground. We went to school with our sneakers, our gym boots, our washikong. And when you buy one, it had to last 2 or 3 years, because that's what you could afford. Sometimes people call it butter bullet. And when your shoes sole begin to eat out because you're wearing so long, every day you cut cardboard and put inside, and you're praying that that day rain don't fall, because when cardboard gets wet and soggy, you can get a thing called jiggerfoot. I'm telling you. So, and where we lived on top of the hill, coming down the hill, the drain from the rainwater, if rain is falling, and you walk in the same place. So you'll walk down bare feet if rain is falling, with a piece of cloth or paper, and then you dry your feet down the track, and then you put on your gym boots or your washikong or your sneakers, depending, and you go to school. Sometimes when things are so hard and you had nothing to do, you had nothing to eat, you will go and go up in the bush and dig wild yam and tipi tambo and eat a thing called lele or hog plum. Imagine sometimes you eat hog plum whole day because things were so bad back in the day. But you were still happy. Would you believe? There was no such thing, there was no crime like what we see today. Of course, there were the Pulal brothers, and there was the Singh, what's that Singh guy called? Who did some horrible things in those days. But beyond that, you were free and happy. But you were poor. You were poor. And you would go and you would trust your goods by the shop. And in our area in Sunshine, at a shopkeeper called Mr. Kati, you go and trust your goods, and when you have to pay back. And boy, I heard Mr. Ferdy Ferrer talking about shopping in Chinese shop, you know. What used to happen to the African women? How sometimes how they used to have to pay back sometimes. Ferdy Ferrer said that right here in this program, or on the Face the People program. But the fact is, that's how we grew up, some of us. Now, look at that to me now. I owned a Mercedes-Benz. I bought several properties. I worked hard. I never took a bribe, never gave a bribe. Let me tell you, never took a bribe, never gave a bribe. One day, a lady came to me in my office in 2nd Street, Barataria, right behind Republic Bank on 2nd Street, 2nd Avenue, Barataria, and 2nd Street, and told me her husband asked if I could do so-so for them. And then she rested my desk a brown paper bag. She said, Mr. Borris, my husband sent this as a gift to you, and he said to tell you there's much more where that came from. So curiously, I opened the bag. And when I opened the bag, my gosh, look at me was, I tell you, money, just wrap up. My God. That was the first time in my career that was actually offered. And I've been offered several times different things. And I look at it, I said, my lady, I thank you for such a generous offer. And I called my secretary then, because I was the first counselor in taking the history of this country to have an office paid by my pocket, you know. When I became a counselor, our salary was $450 a month, and I decided to have an office to serve my Burgesses. Paid for my pocket, and so I didn't say crime nothing. I'm thankful that my family was into business, and I used to rely on my family and myself. And I called my secretary and said, open that bag. And she opened it. She said, Mr. Borris, that's yours? I said, no, that's that lady on. Give it back to her until I said thanks. And my secretary handed it back to her. And I simply called my secretary was really as a witness that I give back the person who bought that package to me, give it back to them. And do you know, let me tell you, being a person who have never taken a bribe or given a bribe, that puts you in bad books of people. There are people who wouldn't promote you, hire you, who wouldn't help you, who wouldn't advance you, who wouldn't empower you, because probably they see you as not a game player or part of the, I don't know. So trying to do the right thing doesn't always work out the best way for you, you know. So believe you me, if you're trying to be like me, you have to be strong. So I'm saying all of that to say, after that poverty, I've been able to purchase house, have business, things like that, have Mercedes-Benz, sell Mercedes-Benz, you know, have SUV, you know, travel all over the world. Does that make me emancipated? Am I emancipated because I've attained some material assets as against what I had? I remember when we bought a house for my mother, and we moved her from where she was on the hill and bought her to lovely New Orleansville. Because as you know, I'm from San Juan, Palatovia. And that was a great thing for us. So am I emancipated because I moved from sleeping on the ground in the tapia house to sleeping where I have a 4 or 5 bedroom house with all? Am I emancipated? Are you emancipated? What is true emancipation? What is true emancipation? Let me hear in the music. What is true emancipation? I want to hear from you. What is true emancipation? Raise the vibrations. What is true emancipation? What is it? Raise it. Raise it. What is true emancipation to you? Are you emancipated, Mr. African man, Mr. African sister? Are you emancipated? Do you feel a love for your brother? A love for your sister? Are you emancipated? Or is it envy and jealousy and pull down and fight down? Are you emancipated? The question is, what is true emancipation? And when you understand what that is, you'll feel a sense of empowerment. Where if you have authority, you feel as though you're empowered to assist and to empower your brother. The moment you feel you can't empower your brother, it's because you're not truly emancipated. You're just simply a slave holding office, or a slave with a business, or a slave with authority. But emancipation, you don't have. We're going for a break. When we come back, don't miss this program today. When we come back, true emancipation, true unity, African and Indian. Let's look at it.
There is an annual cycle that occurs during the August to September months where students look forward with anticipation to the transition in their learning, moving from one class to another or one school to another. The change process and anticipation of a new experience is exciting. Fresh new uniform and books, a strange new environment, teachers and classmates all new. In all of this, the parents are faced with the challenge of making sure all is in place for the back-to-school experience. And for so many reasons, there are those parents that may find this task to be unreachable. So, for this back-to-school cycle, Synergy Television has been working closely with guidance counselors, social welfare, public assistance and other NGOs, as well as school principals and teachers from across the country to identify not just the students most in need of support and assistance for this new school term, but those with a special spark, a drive to achieve despite whatever their circumstances may be. It is our intention, with the support of viewers, corporate sponsors and other philanthropic individuals, to offer full support to at least 25 of the students most in need from all parts of Trinidad and Tobago as they prepare for back to school in September with books, uniforms and shoes. Throughout the entire campaign, our focus will be on the students and not their negative circumstance, with special emphasis on their interests, ambitions and achievements, as the intent of this effort is to ignite opportunities for growth and development rather than implement yet another charity drive. And so we ask you to join with us to adopt a student today. Let's become part of the solution by making an investment in change. For details on how you can adopt a student, contact us at 285-9036 extension 200 or 310-2666 or email admin@synergytv.net. Come, join with us. Let's adopt a student today and make a positive change for the future.
My parents' generation grew up with Royal Castle. From the first restaurant in 1968, when that distinctive, tempting aroma hit the air. Like never before, fried chicken with a special blend of local seasonings and a one-of-a-kind flavor down to the bone. Today, Royal Castle still have that same delicious taste, and I love it too. And the kids, they have more to enjoy. For me, the Castle is more than just nice food. It's we own, part of me and you, and is the real flavor of TNT.
Get the solution you need from Green Dot. Our TV packages offer just the right balance, giving you quality entertainment and a wide range of exciting channels. Our broadband packages are made to power all your household needs, whether you're streaming, gaming, or updating your profile. Plus, we have the lowest price TV and broadband bundle, a package that's tailored for the times. So sign up for a solution that suits your needs. Call 224-GDOT or visit gd.tt today. Green Dot, improving and simplifying lives.
If you're looking for the best, then come to the best. Next Gen, the Everything Store, and the Next Generation Limited. Your original one-stop school shop where you'll find all the top brand names like Faber-Castell, Pilot, Y+, Statler, Crayola, Scholar, and Elmer's, just to name a few. They've also got their very own range of school bags, proudly made and locally guaranteed. Also, check out their wide selection of shoes and ready-made school uniforms. Next Gen, the Everything Store, and the Next Generation Limited are authorized retailers for a wide range of top brand name products. And nobody beats their prices. The Next Generation Limited, ideally situated in the heart of beautiful Rio Claro, and Next Gen, the Everything Store, located in scenic Mayaro. Just call 644 or 630-BOOK. That's 644 or 630-2665. Ask for NASA or Kareem Khan. The Next Generation Limited and Next Gen, the Everything Store Limited, ready to serve you because you are an exceptional customer that deserves exceptional quality, price, and service.
Ho, ho, ho! Murray! Wait a minute. It's not Christmas.
Oh, yes, it is. It's Christmas in July at Value Optical. And we're gifting huge savings with BOGO. Purchase a pair of spectacles in July and get 50% off a second pair. Now Santa can spend more time on the beach. See in store for full details. Ho, ho, ho! Value Optical. Caring for your eyes.
Bright Ideas has the largest array of practical and finishing items for the home under one roof. From the most sophisticated selection of exotic flowers in the country to amazing chandeliers, lighting, and wall fixtures. Bright Ideas caters for every room in the house with unique items that you'll find nowhere else. So you can fix up your home, complete that special look, and be the envy of all. With household appliances, draperies, beddings, kitchen and dining room items, outdoor furnishings, TV, electronics, and so much more. Bright Ideas, Marabella, Princestown, Rio Claro, Point Fortin, and Gulf City. Getting married? Then inquire about their bridal registry or visit them today for that special gift item. For the holidays and for every day, there is a Bright Idea just waiting for you. Bright Ideas with 5 great locations and the convenient opening hours to serve you. Visit them today at Marabella, Princestown, Rio Claro, Point Fortin, and the Gulf City.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today's program hopefully will inspire you and elevate you to the point where you feel so empowered that as a business person you can do much more. Be you African or Indian, black or white. As a director, as a chairman of an organization, as a minister, as a counselor, as an alderman, as a prime minister, as a president, as the leader of the opposition, that you can do much more to help empower those of African descent and generally empower all citizens. It's up to us to make that change. For indeed, what we ought not to do is give people a hand out, but rather to give them a hand up. I want you to look at this short clip, and after that we shall have the interview with the ambassador from South Africa, right here on the hot seat, right here on Synergy TV. Ladies and gentlemen, watch this.
I'm Mike with List 25, and these are 25 shocking facts about slave trade. 25. One of the first mentions of slavery was in the Mesopotamian Code of Hammurabi, circa 1860 BC. It's worth noting that besides not having a written language, slavery wasn't too popular with hunter-gatherers because it required social stratification. 24. Since the beginning of civilization, post-hunter-gatherers, slavery has played a huge role in society, from the building of the pyramids in Egypt to indentured servitude in England. In fact, at the turn of the 19th century, an estimated 3/4 of the world was trapped in bondage against their will, some form of slavery or serfdom. 23. The first large-scale slave trade was the Arab slave trade. It started in the 7th century and primarily involved slaves being taken from Western Africa to the Arabian Peninsula. Some historians have cited the Arab slave trade as possibly being the initial source of prejudice against darker-skinned sub-Saharan Africans that has unfortunately continued into the 21st century. 22. When most people consider the phrase slave trade, they're thinking of the Atlantic slave trade. This slave trade started during the 15th century and continued until the 19th century. 21. As with the Arab slave trade, the source of slaves was, once again, sub-Saharan Africa. The Europeans essentially tapped into an already developed slave trade and exploited it for their own purposes. 20. The Portuguese were the first to enter the Atlantic slave trade in the 16th century. For the next 4 centuries, they would remain the primary actors. In fact, by the time it was abolished in the 19th century, nearly half of all slaves traded in the Atlantic slave trade had been shipped to Portuguese colonies like Brazil. 19. Although most people think of the slave trade as being British ships taking slaves from West Africa to the US, this only accounted for a little over 6% of all slaves. The vast majority, roughly 60%, were sent to Spanish and Portuguese South America.
18.
Most of the remaining slaves, about 30%, were taken to the Caribbean by the British, French, and Dutch empires.
17.
This trade wasn't just back and forth, though. It was something called triangle trade. And, as you could guess, triangular trade is any trade that involves 3 separate regions. In this instance, the slaves were taken from West Africa and exchanged for cash crops in the Caribbean. The cash crops were exchanged for manufactured goods in New England, and then the manufactured goods were once again exchanged for slaves in West Africa.
16.
Although the British North American colonies were not a major destination region for slaves, apart from the plantations in the South, the colonies benefited massively from selling their manufactured goods to slave traders.
15.
Historians estimate that approximately 12 million African slaves entered the Atlantic trade between the 16th and 19th centuries. About 1.5 million died on the ships during transport, and 10.5 million were sold into slavery, mostly in the Caribbean. Another 6 million were sold to Asian slave traders, and yet another 8 million were destined for slave markets on the continent.
Welcome back, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome back, Trinidad and Tobago. I know we only reached 15, but I want you to see that. So we'll continue from that in a short while. At this point in time, I want you to listen. Let's go for a break. And after the break, I want you to listen to an interview on the hot seat in a fantastic location with the ambassador of South Africa, or also called the High Commissioner, because it's part of the Commonwealth. So let's take that break. We'll be back shortly.
Have you heard? For the summer vacation or summer promotion, calling everybody to every Darrell's famous foods location. 1 piece on side for $10 every morning. Everybody, let's go. Let's go. 1 piece on side for $10 every morning. Everybody, let's go sing. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Yes, visit all Darrell's famous foods location for this summer promotion. Get 1 piece and 1 side for only $10 every morning till 12 midday. Darrell's famous foods, your taste of the Caribbean. This is a limited time offer.
Nicole Huggins and Empress Judy of Health and Wealth Lifestyle present the Freedom Cruise.
Are you ready? Are you ready for it?
On Sunday, 12th August 2018, boarding at the Breakfast Shed, Rice Road, Port of Spain at 11 a.m. Sailing 12 noon till 3 p.m. Entertainment by Marlon Mr. Music, Memphis International, Tony Prescott. And a rhythm section. Tickets cost $150. Come, taste our delicious China soup. Absolutely. No oversized coolers and no glass bottles allowed. For further information, call 1-868-288-1108 or 398-8282. Freedom, the Cooler Cruise.
Get ready for the biggest radio station anniversary celebration. It's our 13th anniversary, August 4th. It's Coolers to Hawaii. Gravity Car Park. Come celebrate M1047's 13th anniversary Hawaiian style. Iconic DJs, the Master Howie T, the Boss Dr. High, the King Kabuki, the Icon Nyabingi, the original DJ Wax, and more will be there. Bring your coolers irrespective of size. Largest cooler by 11 p.m. wins 1 bottle Ciroc, 1 bottle Hennessy, and 1 bottle Johnny Walker Black. Tickets now on sale from authorized outlets. It's M1047's 13th anniversary. The only place to be, August 4th, Gravity Car Park. Come one, come all, it's your anniversary too. Get your tickets now.
Nicole Huggins and Empress Judy of Health and Wealth Lifestyle present the Freedom Cruise.
Are you ready? Are you ready for
On Sunday, 12th August 2018, boarding at the Breakfast Shed, Rice Road, Port of Spain at 11 a.m. Sailing 12 noon till 3 p.m. Entertainment by Marlon Mr. Music, Memphis International, Tony Prescott. And a rhythm section. Tickets cost $150. Come, taste our delicious China soup. Absolutely. No oversized coolers and no glass bottles allowed. For further information, call 1-868-288-1108 or 398-8282. Freedom, the cooler cruise. Get the solution you need from Green Dot. Our TV packages offer just the right balance, giving you quality entertainment and a wide range of exciting channels. Our broadband packages are made to power all your household needs, whether you're streaming, gaming, or updating your profile. Plus, we have the lowest price TV and broadband bundle, a package that's tailored for the times. So sign up for a solution that suits your needs. Call 224-GDOT or visit gd.tt today. Green Dot, improving and simplifying lives.
Come and experience the mighty power of Jesus Christ, which can transform your life at Christ Our Banner Ministries, number 7 Chatu Avenue, Faizabad, with Reverend Dr. Deoraj Mahadeo and Deborah Mahadeo. Weekly meetings, worship service 10 a.m. every Sunday. There's also Sunday school and new believer classes from 9 a.m. Bible study and prayer meetings from Mondays at 7 p.m. Deliverance service Wednesdays 7 p.m. and Bible school every Friday from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. All free of charge. He is the God of the impossible who loves you and desires to save you and do mighty things for you. So come and experience God's mighty anointing, which is able to break every yoke in your life at Christ Our Banner Ministries, number 7 Chatu Avenue, Faizabad. For prayer and counseling, call anytime. Telephone numbers 770-1044, 225-6487, 346-6566, 784-7596, or email dmahadeo@hotmail.com.
Trinidad and Tobago and throughout the world, welcome back. I want you now to look at this interview with the High Commissioner from South Africa. As I speak with Her Excellency, I want you to please pay close attention to what she has to say. It might indeed touch you in a most beautiful way. Please view. Ladies and gentlemen, the people of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, today on the program, The Hot Seat, we have an extraordinary guest. We have indeed the ambassador in Trinidad because of the Commonwealth called the High Commissioner to Trinidad and Tobago. We have, of course, Ambassador Tammy Revella. And we are so honored to have her with us today on this program to bring, first of all, greetings to Trinidad and Tobago, but of course, to let us develop further that connection as we celebrate emancipation in our beloved country. Ambassador, welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Borris. It's a pleasure to be on your program, and I would like to pay tribute and congratulations to the people of Trinidad and Tobago on their National Day. A very important one, Emancipation Day.
Of course, we are here at the office or the High Commission of South Africa. Indeed, a country with a rich, great history in terms of overcoming the worst atrocity that mankind had faced apart from slavery. Ambassador, tell us about the history of the people of South Africa.
Well, you know, I think talking about the South African history would be like talking to the converted. Because, you know, the anti-apartheid struggle in South Africa was a worldwide anti-apartheid movement. As you know, not all the countries actually were within the United Nations system supported our liberation struggle, including CARICOM countries like TT. And therefore, it's going to be, it's like preaching to the converted. But what I can say for sure is that it's been 19 years now. Next year is 24 years, sorry. Next year will be the 25th anniversary.
Fantastic.
Of our liberation. Our Emancipation Day, by the way, is called Freedom Day. Which comes on the 27th of April every year. So apartheid was a very ugly history. As you know, it was declared by the United Nations as a crime against humanity because it created a system that dehumanizes others. It puts a certain race as superior and another race as inferior to another. Everything in the country was segregated. You had white buses for white people, buses for black, trains, carriages for black people, for white people, public facilities, ablution facilities. Everywhere you went, there are places that Africans could not go into simply because they were black. And of course, you could not rise above a certain level in your education because certain skills were reserved for whites. But we came to a point where we had to, everybody know Mandela went out of prison in 1990. I recall very fondly because it's his 100th birthday this year. And this year was declared by the South African government the year of Nelson Mandela and another great stalwart, a woman of great courage, Albertina Sisulu. So they would have both turned 100 years this year. So we've been paying tribute, and we've had those tributes also here in TT through the film festivals, symposia that we've hosted with local organizations. But as I say, you know, apartheid, the history of apartheid has a legacy. We may have put apartheid behind us, but the damage that has been done is going to take quite some time to unravel. We are on a developmental path now as a country. We have one of the strongest constitutions in the world. And we are very proud because this constitution really levels the playing field for all South Africans based on a non-racial society, non-sexist, and a country that does not discriminate on any other, for any other reason, even including sexual orientation. So we really have a great foundation to drive us forward. Certainly we have economic challenges because we have this deficit. We need to build more schools. We need to build more health facilities, a bigger infrastructure, a backlog of housing that we still have to overcome, and social services infrastructure that needs to be built. But we're on the way there because we have a National Development Plan, which is an NDP 2030, which is also aligned to the Millennium Development Goals of the United Nations. So I think when you have a plan, it really makes the development agenda more structured and more focused. because each and every portfolio in terms of the ministers, they've got set targets to meet. What they need to achieve by 2015, by 2020, by 2025, by 2030. And we have a very vigilant society in South Africa. Civil society is very, very vibrant. They really bring politicians to account. So, which is very healthy, because it means that we are, as a government, our feet are on the fire, because the expectations of the people must be met, and there is a clear program. How many schools would have been built by 2030? How many clinics? How many libraries? How many all other facilities? You know, that must, how many houses, etc. So I think that we are the most unequal society as a country in the world today, precisely because of the legacy of racism, where you still find that although apartheid is gone, precisely because of apartheid, the poverty levels amongst black people are still relatively high. And the poverty levels amongst white people are really negligible, very small. They are more on the upper income brackets, and the African people are more on the lower middle to lower brackets of income. But these are the challenges we have to overcome. And I think one of the most important things we cannot lose sight of as a country is that you do not remove problems by applying the same tactics that apartheid applied. Because there can always be a temptation to say, this is what they did to us, we must revenge. Why do they still have this? Why do they still have that? We must take it. It simply begets the cycle of hate and violence. We need solutions that are going to level the playing field and reconcile society, because the future is non-racial, not just for South Africa, for any country in the world today. The future is a non-racial society, and I think that's very important.
That is absolutely important. You just told Trinidad and Tobago that South Africa celebrates its own emancipation called Freedom Day. Wonderful. But let's bring it now to Trinidad and Tobago, where we celebrated the first country in the world to celebrate the freedom from the Atlantic slave trade, which came to an end 180 years ago. 33 years ago, we started in 1985 the emancipation right, and the world has followed. What are your thoughts, your views, and even your concerns where emancipation and where persons who were brought from Africa became chattel slaves to the white slave master? What are your thoughts and what are your consideration in respect to what has happened now and where we have, how far we have come?
I think my thoughts are, you know, we are 24 years old in terms of our liberation struggle. In TT, you had overcome slavery, your freedom more than 50 years ago. You achieved your independence, and slavery was abolished even for much longer. I think that it's very important for our children and the new generation to learn to move on, and to actually say to our children, your past is not your future. And I think that mantra is very important, to remind ourselves that our past is not our future. Yes, we will always remember, because we have memory, we cannot forget. But you must also remember the slave owners that lived then no longer live. We have a heritage of parentage of slaves, but the new world today says we are in the information age, we're in the technology age, we are in a world that is moving very, very fast. And we cannot afford to have the African child being left behind. We cannot wallow in sorrow. I always say education, education, and more education, because that is the key to the future. To relieve our pain, it's not constructive, but we should never forget. We should continue to teach the history, but we should also emphasize on moving forward. I think that's the message I can give to Titi and to the people of South Africa.
To move, to use the past as a stepping stone to a brighter and a prosperous future. Trinidad and South Africa have shared good links for many years. We have had the honor of one of the greatest human beings that ever lived visiting our shores, Nelson Mandela. Tell us about Nelson Mandela.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because the July month, which ends today, was Nelson Mandela month. Nelson Mandela was born in July 18th, and therefore he would have turned 100, 1918, of course. And as I said earlier, this year was declared the year of Nelson Mandela. And as a country, we have been reflecting on his legacy. The South African government actually invited all governments around the world to observe the centenary and be the legacy. That was the motto, be the legacy. What legacy did Mandela leave? I think there are so many things that could be said about the man. Mandela was a freedom fighter. He went on to serve 27 years of his lifetime alongside his comrades on Robben Island in prison. And he came out of that prison not a bitter man. He had a lot of time to think. You could say that. He had a lot of time to think. And when he came out of prison, his main focus is seize the power. And I think sometimes that is a message that is lost to some people. Say, oh, you know, this reconciliation path, maybe it was too much compromise and so on and so forth. We come from a country that is unique in a sense that I think unlike many African countries, you know, colonialism in Africa did not settle. It came in the 1800s, late 1800s in many countries, did not settle. It created what I could call you got a community of repatriate. What do they call themselves, by the way? Expatriate.
Expatriates, yes.
It had a community of an expatriate colonial community. It did not grow roots in the countries in Africa. They still called England home or France home. And when things became hot in the colony, they packed up their bags and left. South Africa is what was called a colony of a special type, because number one, the colonials came very early in 1652. They had no colonial ties. These were bandits and free agents who came out of Europe from Holland initially, and they set themselves up never to return because they were outlaws, some of them. So they had no ties to Holland, and they created a settlement. They created a language for themselves, and they took the African identity, made white as they may. They called themselves Africans, Afrikaners.
Afrikaners, yeah.
To emphasize the fact that now they recognize Africa as their roots. So over time, 350 years, they settled. When things were hot, they had nowhere else to go because they've cut those ties many hundred years ago. When the British came in the 1800s, they tried to build 2 colonies, but the Afrikaners had already settled. And they lost in the Anglo-Boer War that lasted between 1899 to 901. The British were defeated. But then they came together and said, look, we are all colonials, foreigners, and we cannot afford to fight amongst each other. And not only should we form a truce, we will include you. And then they formed what was called the Union of South Africa in 1910. So where all the 4 republics or provinces, as we know them, were unified into the Union of South Africa, which was the British dominant colonies and the 2 Afrikaner colonies. They became one. Now, the unity was to say, make a statement to the Africans that the white colonial system is united. And it began with the Land Act in 1913 to say now, we have to make a point that we segregate the Africans and put them in what they called Bantustans. So 13% of South Africa was allocated to the African majority, which was at that time about 87%. There were 13% white colonials in South Africa, and they took the 87% of the land, vice versa. So South Africa, the reconciliation in the negotiations dismantled all of that in 1996 when the constitution was adopted. First, we went into an election with a provisional constitution, and then the final constitution was adopted in 1996. It unified the country. It removed all Bantustans, and no African was somebody from a small corner of the world. You had your citizenship across the country. Whether you were from the south, the north, the east, you were a South African. So these are some of the things that came out of Nelson Mandela's leadership when he came out of prison. But of course, you know, Nelson Mandela was not a leader on his own. He was not leading his court. He was leading a national movement, which is led by the African National Congress. And there was a mass democratic movement behind the African National Congress that Mandela led. The mass democratic movement had trade unions, it had churches, it had youth organizations, sporting fraternity, traditional leaders. So we had a mass a liberation movement that was supported across the country. But we also, what we did was to also unify other Africans who were even opposed to the liberation movement. Believe it or not, there were people who were working with the colonials,
Africans,
just to cut out their own peace, and they were satisfied with their own peace, and they were prepared to denounce the liberation movement. All the leaders said, if we keep on trying to fight putting fires in the little bushes, we are going to miss it. We can't keep on fighting amongst ourselves. We need to work on them. But the ultimate goal is to get our freedom.
Tell me this, the greatness of Nelson Mandela. There are very few persons in history who at the pinnacle of power decide it's time for another leader. That don't happen. That shows the humility and the giant of a man that he was. So tell us about that. Or secondly, tell us about, are you satisfied as ambassador to South Africa for the 20-something odd years of your freedom from that treacherous situation? Have you found that the African have come far enough? And also look at the Trinidad and Tobago situation as we celebrate emancipation. In terms of your stay here, have you felt, because they say there's those who say we're not enough in business, we're not enough of us in different spheres of life. There are many professionals, we are well educated and so on and so forth, but in terms of business, in terms of the economy, we seem not to be totally there. Tell us, look at it from a South African point of view and also from a Trinidad and Tobago point of view.
I think firstly, starting with the first question with regard to, the magnanimity that Mandela displayed by being a one-term president, You remember that when Mandela came into office, he was already in his mid-70s. And of course, he also had some health challenges, but he carried them with grace. You would never see him in any public engagement displaying any kind of pain and so on. But he was under some in the good hands of a doctor. He really wanted to make up for the time, and he really gave his full attention to his national duty. But at the same time, when the 5-year term ended, the South African people were not ready for Mandela's departure. The world was not ready for Mandela's departure because he achieved so many remarkable things, even in his first term in office. The delivery of water. He built within 5 years 1 million houses.
1 million houses?
1 million houses, which a record that we have not been able to beat even today. We accelerated the provision of housing for the poor to that extent. But of course we continue now. But I think the most important thing about the democratic principle that he exercised, to say, I can only stand for this 5 term and I will have, because he comes from a democratic organization. And he says, there is leadership in this country. This is the same organization that brought the whole liberation movement intact after 24, 28 years of exile. Everybody came home intact, united. So there is no shortage of leadership in this country. I will have to hand over the baton, and he did. And what that really has done, there was a dividend to the rest of Africa, because the excuse to say that my people still need me was gone.
Shattered.
For all the dictators. You can see that dictatorships are a thing of the past. Certainly we still need to do a little bit more cleanup. There are still some stubborn stains somewhere, and I think shame on them. So Africa really has become a democratic space. On top of that, we have become a very open society across the African continent. Not only have democratic governments in place with multi-party systems all over Africa, there are regular elections being held. Certainly there are still some conflicts and wars here and there, but they are under the stewardship of the African Union. The African Union is a different organization from the Organization of African Unity. It is as organized, at least it is more aligned to the United Nations way of working, when we resolve conflicts, we work with a sub-regional organization, the Continental Organization, and the United Nations. So there is a lot of cohesion in terms of the resolution of problems within the Gulf. But coming to the economies, Africa is one of the fastest growing continents in the world today. I mean, despite the fact that we have gone through some recessions since 2008 and maybe until recently, Africa during that time has picked up the pace. But unfortunately, of course, the outcome is not going to be very clear because we're starting from a very, very low base. But now it's the biggest destination for foreign investment today. But certainly, the skills revolution is the biggest thing that still needs to come around.
And African people, how have you seen
the skills revolution amongst the African people?
Throughout the diaspora and in Africa and in South Africa.
Well, African people, well, we are Africans all over Africa. So in the Caribbean or in London or a place like, you can say African diaspora because you're outside of the African continent. Africans outside of is the diaspora, but when we are all together, we're Africans or diaspora in the worldwide. But I think the important thing is that the economy now is becoming more the priority, you know, because the political space has become much more friendly, more cordial. Ministers meet as peers, ministers of trade and industries, ministers of finance, ministers of public service, ministers of this, and they talk about structural issues that can be there because we are a united continent now. When you talked earlier, before the start of the interview, about your wishes to see Africa united, yes, we are united. We work together all the time in the same way CARICOM does. And I think to a very great extent, we've made a lot of strides. Because if you go to the African Union structure, the African Union has got the African Union, and then it's got 5 sub-regions. SADC in Southern Africa, the Southern African Division, and then it's got ECOWAS, the East African Community, it's got the West African Community, it's got North Africa, the Maghreb, etc. So these regional, sub-regional organizations actually meet. You know, if there is a problem in Mali, you can't say today, oh, what is South Africa doing? The problem goes first to the regional organization where Mali belongs. And the people of ECOWAS give the first intervention, and they come to the African Union. If they want any specific country to come in for any special or technical, they will ask for that country to come in.
Fantastic.
It has to be, you know, we need to harmonize the way we respond to our problems.
Excellent indeed. Thank you ever so much. Thank you ever so much, Ambassador Tammy Rivilla. We want to thank you ever so much for this interview today. It was indeed important to us at St. G TV that we speak with you as a person in a country that went through struggles of a different, but I should say, of a similar nature as what we went through here in the Caribbean and in the diaspora, Brazil, America, and so on. I want to thank you, and I want to ask you finally if you can give, as you celebrate emancipation, if you can give your greetings from South Africa to the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, Mr. Borris, the first thing I really want to say, and I would have been amiss not to say, is that we have a very strong relationship with CARICOM, both as a country in Africa, as the African Union. I know for a fact that the CARICOM is invited to all the African Union summits, but unfortunately, most of the time, you find that the summits in Africa takes place at the same time at the summit of the CARICOM. So we need to solve that so that we can attend each other's summits and talk about regional cooperation. We still have to work on actually interregional cooperation and have a structured memorandum of cooperation on interregional cooperation. There is a great need to actually create a bridge between Africa and the Caribbean, because the reason sometimes it looks like things are not taking off the ground is because if you don't have a bridge, like an aircraft, daily aircrafts flying between the two continents, we are not going to make significant progress. So these are some of the things that we work at as ambassadors, to talk to the airlines, both here in the Caribbean, in Trinidad and Tobago, and in South Africa. And hopefully that day will come sooner than later. And lastly, I do want to say to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, have a very happy day. I know that it's a very celebratory mood out there. People are going to be dancing and having fun. Do it responsibly and get home safe at the end of the day. And we are with you, and we have to grow together. Thank you.
Thank you, Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you, Ambassador. It has been a signal honor for me to be here with you today. I want to wish you, on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, myself, St. Television, all success. And I'm hoping that someday in the not too distant future, we of the Caribbean, and in particular Trinidad and Tobago, can visit South Africa. Once more, Ambassador, we thank you.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Trinidad and Tobago. Again, I love my country. Oh, wonderful. As I sat there and I spoke with the ambassador, Tammy Riveras, it was indeed to me a wonderful experience, because it took me back to my own diplomatic opportunity where I represented Trinidad and Tobago in Miami as a diplomat, and where I had several of these type of sit-down chat with media houses in respect to Trinidad and Tobago. So indeed, it was a wonderful opportunity to hear from her and to see how close we are as a people. So this was an experience, and I felt that, and I hope that from what she said, it would bring us closer, the people of the Caribbean, the people of America, in terms of those who are from the diaspora, to the people of Africa, those who were born on the continent of Africa. I hope this will serve to help us to understand that we are all Africans. But the greatest thing in emancipation is that it can reach a point where, as Nelson Mandela did, where we can forgive and where we can move on, where we can truly be our brother's keeper of all race, of all background, where we have eventually, we'll have what you call unity in purpose. My quest is that we as an African community will grow stronger and stronger in the positive things in life, and that we will fight and stand up for each other, and they will follow the inspiration of Nelson Mandela in terms of what he brought to the table and what he has inspired us to do. This, to me, is a signal opportunity for us. But for indeed, we must have goodwill. Goodwill to one another, goodwill towards one another, goodwill towards each other. My hope is, as a leader in this country, from a grassroots point of view, that I can help to bring our people, the African people, together and to ease up and to stop the fight down of each other. But moreover, to be able, and I say this to you from my heart, to be able to bring African and Indian people, the two dominant races in this country, united in one understanding that we are all of one country, we are one people. This is true emancipation, where I, in whatever I achieve, I feel committed that I must help others to achieve their goal. That is true emancipation, standing up for each other, true emancipation, that if I hold office, nobody is stronger than I am or weaker than I am. We are all equal, and therefore I must not be submissive to anyone because of their complexion, because of their race, because of their religion, because of the office they hold. I must give respect one to another. We all must give respect. This, to me, is the ultimate goal. This, to me, is true emancipation. We'll go for a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about African-Indian unity, and we'll talk about the strength of the African person.
There is an annual cycle that occurs during the August to September months where students look forward with anticipation to the transition in their learning, moving from one class to another or one school to another. The change process and anticipation of a new experience is exciting. Fresh new uniform and books, a strange new environment, teachers and classmates all new. In all of this, the parents are faced with the challenge of making sure all is in place for the back-to-school experience. And for so many reasons, there are those parents that may find this task to be unreachable. So, for this back-to-school cycle, Synergy Television has been working closely with guidance counselors, social welfare, public assistance and other NGOs, as well as school principals and teachers from across the country to identify not just the students most in need of support and assistance for this new school term, but those with a special spark, a drive to achieve despite whatever their circumstances may be. It is our intention, with the support of viewers, corporate sponsors and other philanthropic individuals, to offer full support to at least 25 of the students most in need from all parts of Trinidad and Tobago as they prepare for back to school in September with books, uniforms and shoes. Throughout the entire campaign, our focus will be on the students and not their negative circumstance, with special emphasis on their interests, ambitions and achievements, as the intent of this effort is to ignite opportunities for growth and development rather than implement yet another charity drive. And so we ask you to join with us to adopt a student today. Let's become part of the solution by making an investment in change. For details on how you can adopt a student, contact us at 285-9036 extension 200 or 310-2666 or email admin@synergytv.net. Come, join with us. Let's adopt a student today and make a positive change for the future.
The National Investment Fund announces the offer for sale of fixed income bonds starting from as little as $1,000 with attractive interest rates over the investment period that suits you best. An affordable investment opportunity supported by 5 of the country's best performing companies that pays income every 6 months tax-free. Don't miss out on this investment opportunity. Contact your broker and complete your application form today. This is a limited time offer until the 9th of August 2018. For a copy of the prospectus or more information, visit nif-tt.com.
Nabi's Medical Marketing, the one-stop shop for all your surgical and medical supplies. Presently specializing in pharmaceutical, medical, and home healthcare supplies. Nationwide distributors for pharmacies, private and public hospitals. Fully stocked showroom with a complete range of home healthcare products. Wheelchairs, walkers, hospital beds, and more. Sole distributors for the Cook medical range of products, including in vitro fertilization products, invasive as well as minimal invasive lines throughout the Caribbean. Currently supplies all IV solutions and dialysis products. Also available life support oxygen concentrators, nebulizers, and much more. Now exclusive at Nabi's. Our latest addition, the new 6-in-1 mini lab, which can be used professionally or in the privacy of your home. Tests include glucose, total cholesterol, cholesterol HDL, cholesterol LDL, triglycerides, and hemoglobin. These machines are life-saving. Visit our showroom at number 5 to 6 Harris Street, Curep. Telephone 645-5577 or 662-7533. Nabi's, the company with 40 years of experience in the medical field.
Get ready for the biggest radio station anniversary celebration. It's our 13th anniversary, August 4th. It's Coolers to Hawaii. Gravity Car Park. Come celebrate M1047's 13th anniversary Hawaiian style. Iconic DJs, the Master Howie T, the Boss Dr. High, the King Kabuki, the Icon Nyabingi, the original DJ Wax, and more will be there. Bring your coolers irrespective of size. Largest cooler by 11 p.m. wins 1 bottle Ciroc, 1 bottle Hennessy, and 1 bottle Johnny Walker Black. Tickets now on sale from authorized outlets. It's M1047's 13th anniversary. The only place to be, August 4th, Gravity Car Park. Come one, come all. It's your anniversary too. Get your tickets now.
My parents' generation grew up with Royal Castle From the first restaurant in 1968, when that distinctive, tempting aroma hit the air. Like never before, fried chicken with a special blend of local seasonings and a one-of-a-kind flavor down to the bone. Today, Royal Castle still have that same delicious taste, and I love it too. And the kids, they have more to enjoy. For me, the castle is more than just nice food. It's we own, part of me and you, and is the real flavor of TNT.
Trinidad and Tobago. This is it. One of the biggest moments you have been waiting for all year. The People's National Movement Sports and Family Day. Hashtag Together We Can. Sunday, 12th August 2018 at Edinburgh 500 Recreation Grounds in Chaguanas. Starting at 9 a.m. sharp. So come one, come all, and spend a full day with your family. Together We Can. There will be lots of fun and entertainment. Children's play park, face painting, small goal football, wind ball cricket, all fours competition, Zumba burner, free bingo, pony and horseback riding, and our surprise guest artist. Come and cheer your MP in the MP's race and so much more. There will be lots of eats and drinks on sale. Every constituency will be represented, so come early in your race. And hear this, the overall winner will receive the Political Leaders Challenge Trophy. Who will be the winner? Find out for yourself as we count down the biggest moment for the PNM's annual Sports and Family Day. Let's be red and ready to enjoy the entire day. And together we can. See you all at Edinburgh 500 Recreation Ground, Chaguanas. Come one, come all. Sunday, 12th August 2018. Hashtag Together We Can. Build back a country.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am the people's champion. Wow. Where is the sound? Where is the hot spot? Where is the hot seat? Listen to this, the hot seat.
This is the hot seat. Who will be next? The hot seat. If they truly love our country, they will face you on the hot seat, a program that brings the burning topics, the most controversial issues, and people directly to you. No stone will be left unturned. No question will be too risky to ask, and no one will be untouchable. Tune in Monday to Thursday from 4:45 p.m. right here on Synergy TV, The Hot Seat. Hosted by the defender of the grassroots, the people's ambassador, Harvey R. Borris. I love my country. This is the hot seat. Who will be next to sit on the hot seat? If they truly love our country, they will face you on the hot seat, a program that brings the burning topics, the most controversial issues, and people directly to you. No stone will be left unturned. No question will be too risky to ask, and no one will be untouchable. Tune in Monday to Thursday from 4:45 p.m. right here on Synergy TV, The Hot Seat. Hosted by the defender of the grassroots, the people's ambassador, Harvey R. Borris. I love my country.
The hot seat. We have had guests from all over, ministers, MPs, UNC, PNM, business leaders, community leaders, activists, all on the hot seat. And the program will get bigger, better, brighter, and hotter because the hot seat is on fire. So before the program finishes today, you shall hear it once more. And the camera will only be focused on the hot seat because it makes sense who will sit next on the hot seat. So let us bring it back to home. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk serious talk now. African people, are you becoming weak? Are you becoming weak? Are you becoming weak? as the vibrations fly over me, are you becoming weak? I ask the questions. Are you in a state of mind where others control you? Where you wrong other people, you feel as though you are subservient or you are dominated? Listen, service is not don't feel that if you're giving service, it's being subservient. No, that's not the case. But you must be strong, because African people are a strong people. You went through slavery, and you fought, and you fought, and you fought a good fight. It's time for us to fight the greatest battle of our lives. It's time for us to unite. That is the ultimate goal right now for you, the African community, all over the world, and right here in Trinidad and Tobago. As I look at the dictionary, and I look at what is an African, who is an African, I ask you the question, are you ready to fight that final battle? The battle of unity. Unity in your community. Unity among African people. That we stop the wrongdoing, whatever negatives there are. That we build on our positives. That we do that which is right in our best interest. That we understand that I must love you and you must love me. I must give my sister respect. I must give my brother respect. And vice versa. And when we begin to love each other, let us then extend that love to our entire country. But in particular, let the African and the Indian unite in the struggle to achieve our goals. What is emancipation, my people? How are you? Do you feel emancipated? Are you emancipated? Do you understand what comes with emancipation? It's not just the chain on your hand. That's not emancipation right now. Right now, to be emancipated is for you to understand that you have a responsibility. Yes, you have a responsibility. Today, the program going right up to 6 o'clock, right up to 6 p.m. And today, we shall close the program in a very, very, very powerful way. We're going to 6 o'clock today. We'll open lines to take your calls. But first, I want you to understand, African people, you are strong. Find your strength. Find your strength. Get into business. Get into, listen, open hardwares, open pharmacies, open everything. Come together. Find your strength. It is important that we put aside that which divides us. Unity in our community represents prosperity. Find your strength. Today is Emancipation Day. Find your strength. Look at this. Look at this.
Welcome to Tanaka Chi, and in this video, Tanaka Chi presents number 10. Number 9. Number 8. Number 7.
Of any movement or revolution. In fact, I'll go as far and say that without black women, most revolutions or movements wouldn't even happen or function properly. Now, from the outside looking in, some observers may be under the impression that black women have been forced into the role of battle, especially due to the circumstances they've been put under. But upon further observation, it becomes very clear that the ancestors of black women have always been willing participants and even initiators of battle. What up, African world? It's your boy Home Team here. I'm back at it with another video of African history, culture, and worldview. And remember, you guys can support the Home Team banner on Patreon to gain full access to sources and full African history lessons. All you gotta do is check out the link. Amazonians, known today as the Dahomey Amazons, wrote about these warriors as having, and I quote, incredible courage and audacity. They weren't there just as props. They bodied other African kingdoms. And the unique thing about African women was not that they were simply fighting in battle, but they also initiated war. Yaa Asantewaa is a prime example, as she single-handedly started the War of the Golden Stool. Referring to more ancient times, the presence of female African warriors is also noted and even romanticized. The Greeks created legends of Queen Marina and what they called the Candace Queens of ancient Kush. They were astonished that these women would literally participate in battle. Now this list is going to be unique, right? Because these women weren't your ordinary trash-talking warfare initiators. The majority of the following African women you're about to hear from were literally present on the battlefield. In other words, these women were the baddest of the bad. So without further ado, here's the top 5 greatest African queens in the entire history of the continent. Coming in at number 5, we have Princess Yanenga. Now, Princess Yanenga eventually became a queen, but her legend started when she was just a princess. Her father was a king of a region in northern Ghana, and she was said to be the most beautiful girl in all the kingdom. But that wasn't what was unique about her. She was actually hailed as being an excellent horse rider and warrior, a master, if you will, with the bow and spear. She is said to have been a better rider than most of the men, and one of the top warriors in all of the kingdom. She was highly favored in the kingdom, and her father absolutely adored her. But like many women, she wanted to get married, and her father thought to himself, how can I lose such an excellent warrior and leader to marriage? So he refused to allow Princess Yanenga to get married. This pained Princess Yanenga deeply. So to express how she felt, she planted a lush field of wheat, but she didn't take care of it and allowed it to rot. When her father inquired about why she allowed such a beautiful field of wheat to rot, she said, "You see, father, as precious as you say I am, still you let me rot like the wheat in this field." However, that didn't work, as her father hardened his heart, so she ran away, fighting off foes trying to capture her, and started her own nation. This nation is the region of Burkina Faso today. Princess Yanenga became the queen mother of Burkina Faso and a legendary warrior figure in all of West Africa. Being the queen warrior mother of any nation is why Princess Yanenga is ranked so high amongst all African warrior queens. At number 4, we have Queen Gudi. Queen Gudi is a legendary queen from Ethiopia, believed to be descended from the Sidamo people. Some scholars say that she was of Jewish religion and apparently despised the Christian empire of Aksum. She, according to Aksumite oral and written tradition, was a woman scorned. For whatever reason, she despised the Aksumite dynasty and nearly relinquished the entire genetic line of Aksumite royalty. She is said to have laid waste to Aksum and its countryside, destroying churches and monuments. She killed the emperor and ascended to the throne, reigning pretty much until her death. The Aksumite Empire was a pretty well-established state, and the fact that she utterly ravaged and destroyed it, starting a new line of Ethiopian kings and queens, is very significant. Her actions single-handedly influenced the future of Ethiopia and started a nation. In Ethiopia today, she is known as Esato, literally meaning fire. Breaking our top 3, we have Queen Nzinga of Angola. Now I have to admit that I really wanted to rank her higher because she is definitely one of my all-time favorites. Queen Nzinga has a very special place in my heart. With that being said, Queen Nzinga breaks our top 3 because she was born and bred in fire. Her story is incredible, and there's even been a movie done about her. Since birth, legend has it that the umbilical cord was wrapped around her neck, almost killing her. So from jump, she had to fight for her life. She, like Princess Yanenga, was also favored by her father, and he reportedly took her to battle with him. I mean, everything about this woman from jump screams legendary. Honestly.
Wow, some of the powerful women in African history. What does that say to you? You were born powerful. You were born strong. You went through the worst atrocity the world has seen, and yet you survived. Now make the best of your life. None of you, none of us need to turn to the life of crime. We need to do that which we can do to achieve our goals. We need to support each other. We need to find a way that we can accelerate what we are, doctors, lawyers, business persons, whatever we are, whether we are public servants, whether we are teachers, whatever profession we have, we need to accelerate to ensure that our people and the students that is under those of you who are teachers, that you deliver the best students in the world. You know, in Trinidad, it's up to us. It's up to us to come together with our Indo brothers and sisters and really you cause a beautiful unity. Because the both of our strengths coming together, this country will be second to none. To encourage your Indo brother, to ensure that they also stay on the right track, to avoid corruption, to avoid crime, that we can use our strength to achieve our objectives, doing the right thing, and putting our country first. The lines are now open. You can bring greetings on emancipation, or you can make a comment on anything you have seen thus far. The lines are open, and it's up to you to make a call, to talk about this emancipation. What is emancipation? Or even simply to bring a greeting. Caller, welcome.
Harvey.
Welcome.
If you have a program, you have to give people a chance to participate in it.
Well, it depends on the program that you have.
You can't have a program for yourself.
All right, let's move on to the next caller. If you call for that, he's wasting our time. It depends on the structure. Sometimes you get halfway time to make your call. Sometimes you get a small time based on the program and based on what we want to bring to the nation. Caller, welcome. Caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Harvey.
Good day, my dear.
Mr. Monroe was on that same station. Mr. Monroe was on that same station today.
Please listen on your phone and not on your television.
And he asked a question about the Black Caucus. And he called your name. What are you all doing for the Black Caucus?
Well, I don't
know. On this Emancipation Day.
All right, thank you very much. I don't know why Mr. Monroe will be on this station calling my name. I think he's out of place to be doing that if he's doing that and being disrespectful if he called my name, if that was the case, as you said. So I totally don't like that level of disrespect. We have to reach a point where we come together and instead of fighting on each other, we come together and really support each other for the right things, if possible. That's what we need to do at this point in time. Caller, welcome.
I love my country.
Keep your love alive.
Mr. Harvey,
my
beautiful
lady.
Program with Her Excellency. Mr. Harvey, happy emancipation.
Thank you.
To my people of Trinidad and around
Thank
the
you.
world.
Mm-hmm.
But Mr. Harvey, I have to tell you, you call for unity with the East Indian and the African because we are one. But I must ask you to remember, when Mahatma Gandhi left India as a young man and went to the white people country, England, to study law, he left his wife Kushumba in India. And when he heard what was going on in South Africa, as Her Excellency explained, she didn't talk about Mahatma Gandhi, but I have to tell you, when he left England as a qualified lawyer, he said, I cannot return. I made friends, and in South Africa, they're suffering. He left his wife Kushumba. He didn't think of her. He went to South Africa. When the authorities realized that he joined up with the Black Power movement, I don't know if they were the ANC then, they told him, you're expelled from South Africa, you Mahatma Gandhi from India, go back to India. He had no choice. He had to board a plane and never to return to help his black brothers. And that is what I want the East Indians to know. know, and I beg of you to research it and let them know that the great Mahatma Gandhi that they look up to felt compelled and one with the African man. You have a blessed Emancipation Day. I love your program, and I'll have to, just one thing I'd like to say. African Man Emancipation Day today. Please don't bring down your own African people. Let them rise, rise, rise. I saw a young Oprah Winfrey program about to start, and a black man bring her down and cut her down to nothing. We've got to stop that. Come on, and that young lady was Kim Cole. Have a blessed day and happy Emancipation Day.
Thank you for your call. We're taking your calls live on the air here because it's important for us to hear from each other, but keep it constructive, keep it productive. Caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Brother Harvey.
Good day, my dear.
I don't know if I want to say happy emancipation because I'm yet to find out if we are really emancipated. Because I just hear you make a statement there that Mr. Manu is out of place and he's out of place to say what he said. Much as I could remember, Mr. Manu was the head of the Black Caucus, and for whatever reason, I don't know what went down. And I'm still trying to find out, but we are so divided, Brother Harvey. African people have a set of splinters here, a little bit of them here, a little bit of them there, and they can't come as one body and united. And I hear you say many times, united we stand and divided we fall. And how could we be united, be divided and talking about emancipation? Because what we're fighting for is the African people right now. That is what is emancipation as far as I'm concerned. Because I was watching something, I was hearing that young man that speak about Mr. Paul Richards talking about the drums, and he gave us something every hour, I think every hour on the hour about the African drums and whatever. And I find we are not united enough for me to put on my gong and my thing and go and walk the street. I did it a couple of years when you only hear from Mr. Campbell the day before Emancipation Day, and after Emancipation Day, he gone into hibernation until next year he go come out again and say they didn't get enough money. How could the government pump money into a divided set of people? The Baptist people call it long enough because Baptist is the same example too. A little bit here, everybody wants a church. Everybody wants to be charged, the black people, and we can't get the head. And I just didn't like that statement when you say, Mr. Mono, fast and the outer place, because that touched me a little bit because I was a strong advocate for the Black Caucus.
Thank you.
Maybe you don't know how, you say that, you wouldn't understand how it feels to be sitting down and hearing somebody say that. So, you know, Mr. Harvey, that was a bit harsh. Because Mr. Manu, as all what people may say.
All right, thank you. The point I made, if the lady, I said if what the lady said was true, that he came on the air and referred to me and asked what I'm doing and things of that nature. If that is true, then I found that was to be out of place, as the case may be. He can call me and ask me what I'm doing. We need to stop fighting on each other. I do not come on the air. And the last time I came on the air and I decided to pull down somebody, I said, listen, this person's not doing enough for our community. I know who I pulled down. I pulled down Harvey Borris. I came here and I attacked me. I did not attack no one else. We spend too much time attacking each other. Let us begin to love each other, support each other. When we go wrong, call me one side, call you one side, and say you're wrong. But this thing we want to do, we are the only people who do that all the time. Caller, welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
This is Kerry Blackman calling from Pleasantville. I love my country.
Keep me love alive.
Here, what is worrying me, Mr. Borris, I sit down here and I watch your program. And two things that worrying me.
Go ahead.
The Wally, all we people running and buying out all the roti and all the curry. Eid, they run and they clean out the shelf, all the sawine. Emancipation Day, what is our menu? What is our African heritage menu that represents this day? That is one. Two, I am very hurt and disturbed where I went out the road and see that playway is playing on this day. I love my country. It's a disrespect because they're not playing on Diwali, they're not playing on Eid, they're not playing on Christmas, they're not playing on... Why play on emancipation? It is a disrespect to black man, my brother. Tell me if I lie.
Let me explain though, because I myself researched that.
Listening.
No, listen, thank you. Let me explain. In respect to the playway and the lotto situation, they do not play those games on religious holidays. But they played, for instance, on Indian arrival, they had lotto and so on and so forth. On emancipation, they have lotto. But if you have Eid or Christmas or Diwali, which are religious holidays, then there is no lotto, as the case may be. Caller, welcome.
Religious holidays.
Caller, welcome. Listen on your phone and speak with me. Caller, welcome.
Hello,
Caller?
good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. Go right ahead. Hello, go right ahead. I'm hearing you.
Hello, Brother Harvey.
Yes?
I just called to tell you that you are the right person to become our next Prime Minister in this country.
I thank you ever so much for your kindness. And I thank you for how you see me. And may God continue to bless you for such good thoughts. I truly appreciate it. It's not my ambition, but I truly appreciate it. I thank you. So let's take another call. Because we want to discuss the issue of African and Indian unity. We want to discuss the question, how we must unite in terms of the African community. Caller, welcome.
Hello.
Hello, welcome. We are hearing you. Go ahead.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes?
No, we cannot hear you. I'm calling from Tobago.
All right, go ahead. I'm hearing you. Go ahead, speak. Why is it, hello? All right, the lines are open. We have missed a few calls, and I'm not sure if there's a technical problem on the telephone line, but continue with your calls. We are taking your calls. The numbers are on the screen. We want to hear from you. This is emancipation. And of course, when you start, you can give greetings. You can give emancipation greetings. That will be beautiful. Caller, welcome. Caller?
Hello.
Yes?
Yeah. Harvey?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Hello?
Yes. Today is Emancipation Day. It's not an Indian holiday. We're putting Indian and African together. The Indian arrival, they don't say anything. Oh, African, that's why you see African that we have to go how they the lowest on the... Today is African Emancipation Day. They may say when they have the Indian arrival day, they may study in African. That's why you see the African have to be in the bottom of the barrel.
All right, thank you for your call. And for me to respond to that is to say this. I truly believe, and the entire program has been focused on African unity. At the end of the program, I'm speaking about true emancipation. When we gain the strength we have as a community and we have true unity, then we can unite with others and have even greater strength. Believe you me, we can learn from each other. And therefore, if the Indian community don't understand that, remember the world came out of Africa, and therefore we are the leaders in world unity. Sometimes it's to our destruction, but we are the first, proven by DNA and proven in history. So I'll take your calls. The numbers are on the screen. I know I missed a few calls while I was speaking, so I'll take your calls. Please bring your calls through, and you can also give emancipation greetings. You see, sometimes we take the opportunity only to find fault and not to speak positively. Caller, welcome.
I love my country.
Keep the love alive.
Brother Harvey?
Yes, sir.
I wish the people of Trinidad and Tobago a happy Emancipation Day, and may God continue to bless us and to give us the riches of His blessing. And I also take this opportunity to say to the opposition, thank you for voting for that great man. You abstained diplomacy. That is what you did. You vote with your silence, and I thank you for it. I only pray that you gave him the office with love and help him to see that he came from you all to help to do the things that we and you would want him to do. May God continue to bless us. Thank you, Brother Hart.
Thank you for your call. We're taking your calls. The lines are open, and we want to hear from you. First of all, to bring greetings to our emancipation brothers, to our country, to the African community, but indeed to look at the issues that confronts us. And sometimes you see why I would reduce the call time, because sometimes we have too much negatives. Caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Borris.
Good afternoon to you.
Emancipation to you and all of Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you.
Today is not a day to bring up any old talk. Today is a day to wish our African brothers and sisters best wishes. After today, if you want to bring up if anybody want to bring up any old talk, okay, they can go ahead. But today, and I am very upset because lottery parlors have been open today. And I take offense because today is an African day and everybody just want to do African what they want. But tomorrow I will talk about that.
All right.
However, everybody enjoy themselves and enjoy the rest of the day. Have a happy emancipation. Never mind what you don't like about it, but we are celebrating it in the highest degree of comparison. Happy emancipation. Thank you very much.
Thank you indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just 5 minutes to close the program. But indeed, I say this to you. From independence to now, have we truly come as a nation? African people, it's time to unite. The Emancipation Village is still open until tonight. Still make it down there and give support to your brothers who have their tents open. Listen to the Prime Minister of our country, Dr. the Honorable Eric Williams.
The first responsibility that devolves upon you is the protection and promotion of your democracy. Democracy means more, much more, than the right to vote, and one vote for every man and every woman of the prescribed age. Democracy means recognition of the rights of others. Democracy means the equality of all in the eyes of the law. Democracy means equality of opportunity for all in education, in the public service, and in private employment. I repeat, and in private employment. Democracy means responsibility of the government to its citizens, the protection of the citizens from the exercise of arbitrary power and the violation of human freedom and individual rights. Democracy means freedom of worship for all and the subordination of the rights of any one race to the overriding right of the human race. Democracy means freedom of expression and assembly and organization. All that is democracy. All that is our democracy, to which I call upon all citizens to dedicate themselves on this our Independence Day. This is what I meant when I gave the nation as its slogan for all time: discipline, production, tolerance. Our national flag belongs to all of us. Our national coat of arms with our national birds inscribed therein is the sacred trust of all our citizens. So it is today. Please, I urge you, let it always be so. Let us always be able to say with the psalmist, behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity.
Behold how good it is for brethren to dwell together. Our late, great Prime Minister, the father of the nation, Dr. Eric Eustace Williams. Ladies and gentlemen, join me tomorrow at 4:30, right here on St. G TV for the program The Hot Seat. And on Sunday at 3 p.m. on Sunday, as we close the program today, I will close with the national anthem. Please stand for the national anthem. I love my country.